Yo, what's happening people? I'm Adsr from AdsrTheProducer.com and welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to be showing you a cool new drum plugin called the Adsr drum machine. As you might have guessed, this plugin is a drum sequencer and sampler, but this one's got a few unique features that I think are quite interesting. If you're new to the channel, then please consider hitting that subscribe button and click the bell next to it too if you'd like to be notified every time that I drop new videos. Now with all that said, let's take a look at the plugin.
On the track.
So when it comes to programming drums, I sometimes find it frustrating having to switch from pattern to pattern to make changes to the sounds within my sequence. I have used other plugins like FPC and Ableton Live's drum rack, but I think that overall these stock plugins are quite basic and could definitely have more features. The plugin that I'm going to show you today has pretty much solved that for me by having everything that I could possibly need for drum creation all in one plugin. So this is the Adsr drum machine. A drum sampler and sequencer plugin that makes drum programming a lot less tedious and click intensive. So first I'm going to run you through the GUI and then I'm going to go over some of the features that I think makes this plugin stand out from the competition. If you like the look of the drum machine, then I'm going to leave a link in the video description where you can check it out for yourself, and this plugin has a 30-day free trial so you can try it before you buy it. So when you first open up the plugin, you'll be met by the sounds and effects window. Within this window you'll see the 16 drum pads where you can assign sounds from the factory library, and you can also import your own presets with a simple drag and drop feature. Once you click one of the pads, you'll then see this sound selection window, and this is where you can browse through the preloaded samples and start assigning sounds to the pads. You can also use this bar at the top, and this is going to allow you to load full drum kits with one click. As you can see, there's lots of samples and drum kits that you can pick from, and these are all split up by genre. Inside these genre folders, you'll then find a few drum kits, so there's lots of choice with this plugin. My favourite folder's got to be this beats folder, and this is where you're going to find the drill and trap drum kits. If you'd like to build your own drum kits, then you can do that by clicking on one of the pads and then choosing the sample that you'd like to go onto it. Every time you click a sample, that sample is going to be assigned to the pads, so there's no need to double click or anything like that. I think the preloaded drum kits are more than good enough to go with. However, if you'd like to add your own sounds, then it's as easy as just dragging and dropping them from your DAW's browser window right into the plugin. Once you have your sounds loaded, you can then close this sample window by just coming up and clicking this X here. So now I'm going to go over the controls within the sounds and effects window, starting with this upper left section. From here you can control the gain of your sample as well as the panning and velocity. The next section has got some controls that are going to change depending on whether you have the envelope, split or tune tab selected. The envelope section is going to allow you to change the shape of your sound. With this transient knob, you can edit the way the initial transient of your sound comes in. If you turn it all the way to the left, then it's going to make the sound come in a little softer, and if you turn it all the way to the right, then it's going to really boost that initial transient. This is going to be really useful on weaker kicks, and it's going to help them cut through the mix a little bit. Next to this, we then have hold and decay, which are going to allow you to shape the sound further. Now this is where things are going to get a bit more interesting over in the split tab. This section is going to let you split your sound in half, allowing you to process the transient and body of your sound separately. So if you come up and hit this split button, you'll then have two tabs that are labelled body and transient, and you can affect these in different ways. So if I want to add some overdrive to the transient sound but don't want to affect the body, then this is exactly how you can do it. Once you've split your track, you'll also see that the mixer now has two slots for the kick. One of them is going to be the transient and one of them is going to be the body. The tab next to this is for tuning your sounds, and again this one's pretty self-explanatory. From here you can change the pitch of your sound by either dragging the waveform along the keyboard, or you can also use the tune and fine tune knobs. Across the bottom we then have an effects section which consists of a high and low cut, a 3-band EQ, a compressor, a filter which allows you to have high pass, low pass and band pass settings, a distortion knob and also a phaser. These effects can also be moved around by dragging the top of the effect and just moving them to whatever order you'd like. So that's everything from the sounds and effects window. Now let's take a look at the sequencer. The sequencer window is where you're going to be able to draw in patterns using the sounds that you've selected. If you chose one of the preset drum kits, then you're already going to have a pattern drawn in, and to clear it you just want to come down and hit this clear button. So starting from the top left, the step setting is going to let you choose how many steps are in your sequence, and this can go from 8 to 64. Each page consists of 16 steps, and you can swap pages by using these settings here. The next two settings are the loop and follow functions, and I think this follow function is quite useful. With the follow feature enabled, each time you press play, the plugin is going to automatically swap between pages and keep up with the playhead. The speed setting is going to allow you to change the grid that you snap to, and this goes all the way from 1/1 to 1/32 of a bar. This setting is going to be really useful for programming hi-hat rolls, but there's an even easier way to do that, which I'll go over shortly. Next to this is a setting where you can add some swing to your drums, and this is going to come in really useful for lo-fi and boom bap producers especially. The direction setting is going to swap the way that your loop plays and allow it to play backwards, and the offset function is going to allow you to nudge your samples left or right. Along the bottom you'll see these buttons labelled 1 to 16. This is going to allow you to make up to 16 different drum patterns that you can switch between, giving you lots of room to make different variations. Below this we have a play and stop button, which I don't think I really need to explain, and then we have a host button which is going to sync playback to your DAW. Now in the very top left of the sequencer window you can switch to the single note view, and this is going to allow you to edit the velocities of your sounds as well as offer a really simple way of adding hi-hat rolls. So one thing that I like to do in trap beats is I like to dip the velocity of every second hi-hat. To do that in the single note view you just want to come over to the sample that you want to edit and just drag this bar down. Then if you'd like to add rolls, you can do so by coming to the empty space below any step and dragging up to choose how fast or slow you want the roll to be. Another cool feature is you can then right click on these rolls and choose whether you want it to rise, fall or stay at a constant velocity. I should also point out that if you want to draw your drums straight into the piano roll, then you can most definitely do that too. The sounds in the drum machine start from C1, but in FL Studio this is going to be C3. So I've just dragged in a sample. Now I'm going to write out a quick drum loop so I can show you over the mixer and how to route these sounds out to your DAW. So over in the mixer tab is pretty much everything you'd expect to see on a mixer, with some volume sliders, some panning controls, and we also have 2 send tracks that you can use to apply delay and reverb. Underneath this mixer track, if you right click where it says main, you can then choose whether you want to send this audio out to one of the buses or directly out of the plugin into your DAW. I myself prefer to route these sounds straight out to FL Studio's mixer, where I can then apply third-party plugins. This was a bit tricky to work out how to do, but I'm going to show you exactly how I managed to do it. First you want to come up to this menu in the top right of the plugin, and then you want to come into the routing section. From here you want to click on route pads to direct outs. So now if I hit play you'll see that the audio is only coming through insert 1, however I want each drum to have its own mixer track. To fix this, you want to click the settings icon inside the plugin window, and then you want to come over to the processing tab. Next you want to come down to where it says connections and hit auto map outputs. Then the last thing you need to do is to just make sure that all of these buttons are lit up. And now when I hit play you'll see that each drum sound is coming through its own mixer insert. So yeah, overall I think this plugin's really good, and I can honestly see myself using it in my workflow when I'm making beats. The fact that everything drum related can be accessed from one plugin is a big pro for me, and I especially like the split pads feature. Let me know what you think of this plugin in the comments, and remember, if you'd like to check it out for yourself, then you can use the link in the description to get yourself a free trial. Big shout out to anybody that made it all the way to the end of the video. I've been Adsr, thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.